Friends, to another edition of the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Today I'm going to share with you a personal story that ticks me off like I can't tell you. I'm a financial planner, been advising people on their money for many years. Certified financial planner. I got a master's degree in financial planning, personal financial planning, and I'm so smart. Just ask me. But here's a story of how I've lost $3,500 over the last few years because of my own ignorance, ineptitude, and probably even some laziness. So let's dive right in. I'm going to show it to you. So here's my blog, my podcast, and this labeled How I Lost $3,500, which will also be the label for this episode too. And I'm going to show you why. In Fulton County, Georgia, you may not know this. You might not live in Fulton County, Georgia, but your county probably has the same thing. They have a homestead exemption. And I remember when I lived in Texas, there's a homestead exemption for just private property residents, veterans as well. And I never took advantage of that back then because if I recall correctly, it was like $100. And that might not be right, but I just remember that it's like, oh man, I got to go down to the real estate office and fill out all this stuff for $100. It's not worth my time. I don't know if that's correct. That was my impression that it wasn't going to be worth my time to go down to the government office and deal with all that. So when I came to Georgia, we bought our house here in North Fulton County. I remember at the closing table, my realtor, bless her, said, you need to go and get your homestead exemption. So my first thing was like, this is back in 2013. My first thing was like, oh man, $100. It wasn't we were in Kerr County, Texas. It says not going to be worth it to go down to a Fulton County office, which is a city office, whereas Kerr County, Texas was a rural office, and deal with all the mechanisms of having to file paperwork and all that. So I just put it out of my mind. So lo and behold, I remember my wife had read a story on this just a couple weeks back, and she reminded me, hey, let's file this exemption because we could save some pretty significant property tax. And I said, yeah, that's good. I'll go down there, have some time now that I'm self-employed. I'll run down to the office and file it. And it just slipped my mind again until I woke up this morning in cold sweats saying, oh, I got to get down there because I thought the exemption, the limit was today, or not today, but the 15th of April, like tax filing day. No, it's April 1st. So I go online and I'm like, oh man, is there a way you can get an adjustment? Nope, it's April 1st. You got to get it done. And actually, it's been April 2nd this year because April 1st fell on a Sunday. And here it is April 5th. So I'm 3 days behind. And so I just did some calculation. I said, how much does this cost me? So what happens is if you go to the Fulton County assessor.org, this is Fulton County, Georgia. And again, if you don't live in Fulton County, Georgia, you should look at your own. And they say each you get a homestead exemption is reduction in the property taxes. The amount of the exemption for each homestead is deducted from the excess value, which is up to 40% of the fair market value, but it's no more than $30,000 of your assessed value. So it's 30, and here it says right there, basic exemption amount, $30,000. Or up to 40% of the fair market value. So I'm thinking, all right, $30,000. My house worth quite a bit more than that. I mean, houses down the street are selling for $500 or something like that, $600. It's not a huge deal. But then I said, well, let's just double check this. So I went to Google and I said, let's type in Fulton County, Georgia appraised value and see what we come up with, because I can't remember what it's actually the assessed value, not your appraised value. So just be advised, we're looking at your assessed value. And what I come up with here is this, there we go, let's come back. There we go. Is property taxes, Fulton County Tax Commissioner. So I click on that guy. And you get this Mr. Ferdinand up here, looking all like he's ready to collect your money, which he will. And here you can go search for tax bill. Search for tax bill. Now, every single county in America is going to have a system similar to this because it's all public record. So if you know me, I live in Fulton County. You can find out a way to just type in my last name and see exactly what my taxes are, what my bill is, where I live, and all that. I'm not going to do that here, but I am just going to say search for tax bill. And what we're going to do is we're going to do real estate. And real estate is, not personal property. That's your vehicle and whatnot. Real estate is what we're talking about. We're going to do a street address. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to type in an address of a street that's pretty well used in my town of Milton. I'm not going to use my own. I just don't feel like it. So I'm going to type in Dinsmore Road, and it gives you all these little drop downs. Dinsmore Road, and we're going to hit search. All right, so we type, and it literally is that simple. And what's going to happen is you're going to get this group of different property of all the homeowners who live in Dinsmore Road in Fulton County. which is in Milton, Georgia. And so what I did is I said, let's just pick out a couple randomly. And I've already done this because I want to show you. So here's 2205 Dinsmore Road. Don't know who these people are. Really don't even know where the house is. There's that guy and lady, husband, wife. Their assessed value is $279,000. Now their fair market value is $650,000. All right, so theoretically, that's what the county says they could sell their home for, but they're only assessing for property tax at basically $260,000, so quite a significant difference. That $30,000 exemption is not based on this, my friends. It's not. It's based on the assessed value. That's where when I initially said the appraised value, that's not correct. It's the assessed value. Significant difference. Now, they have the county exemption because, look, Fulton Homestead exemption. It says right there, they got the exemption, which means they're going to be taxed on this minus $30,000. So they're going to be taxed on $229 as opposed to $259. All right, so they're going to save, and that's their taxes that they paid, $7,200 after this exemption. So now let's go over here. Now let me show you something else, though. We're going to go to 2215. Show you this guy. Now his assessed value is $228,000. His fair market value is $572,000, but his assessed value is $228,000. But notice, no county exemption, which means he's paying the exact same tax rate as those other folks were in terms of how his assessed value is $229,000. So essentially, if you go and you say, okay, well, his taxes are $6,600 on 228, all right? So what we do is we say 228 minus $30,000. Oops, I should say $30,000 divided into 228. That means he's paying 13.15% more in taxes than he could have. So if he would have, this guy were to have gone and filed an exemption, he could reduce this amount right here, his property tax amount, by 13%. So with times 6,678 times 0.13, he could reduce it by $868, which is I could reduce mine by $871. Now watch this. $868 for this year, for that 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 year. It's going to be a little bit more, a little bit less, but roughly, let's just say $850 each and every year for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to say 850, just round up times 8. So he could have saved himself $6,800 in taxes over these last 8 years if he knew about the homestead exemption. And he didn't. And how do we know? Because look, he doesn't have that little code right there, whereas these people do. I'll show you again. That's people 8221 for 2205 right there. They do have that exemption right there. So now, Frank, I don't know if this is the exemption before the assessed value, before or after the 30. I don't know. I don't know if this tax paid is before or after the exemption. I don't know. But all I know is they have it. So they're either paying, they're paying $30,000. They're taxed on $30,000 less on their assessed value. If that means their assessed value is truly $289,000. Or their assessed value is going to be $229 once you factor. I don't know the answer to that, but all I know is that because they have that name right there, that means they're paying tax on $30,000 less than what the guy just showed you and old Josh is paying each and every year. And the funny thing is, once you fill this thing out once, you don't have to do it again. It just automatically renews. So go to your county. Go to your county, and if you live in Cumberland County, Maine, I don't know what their tax consequence is. If you live in Kerr County, Texas, I don't know what their tax consequence is. I don't know, but it behoove you to find out, because we're talking, $6,800 that guy we just showed you paid too much in taxes. That could go a long way towards retirement, my friends. That's your money. That's your money. So get it back, and get it back ASAP. Now, for me, it's too late to do anything this year. I'll make sure I'm down there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed next year to get this done, though, because I need that money more so than the county does. All right. As always, put in comments down below. What's your opinion on the tax assessment? Have you ever done this? Have you claimed an exemption before? as a veteran, senior citizen, just a property county owner in your county. What's your feeling on that? I would like to hear it because I've never gone down there to do this. And when I'm reading the articles, which I'll link to down in the show notes, it seems pretty easy. So a lot of guys say this takes 5 minutes, which is crazy to me because you're going to the government office. It only takes 5 minutes. But, hey, that's what some guys are saying. So just make sure you get it done for sure. If you're too late for it this year, be down there 1 January, dark 30. Get it done next year. All right, we'll talk to you guys later on the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. Thanks, guys.